felt so exhausted, so tired. Every part of my being wanted to rest. My soul craved the ocean. Nature. It's so healing, so refreshing. And it was here that I had a realization.
Hey there, I'm Sam from Paper Crane of Hope, and I'm an online therapist for INFJs and empaths, and I also leave paper cranes in the community to spread hope and healing. Now, yesterday I went to the ocean because I was feeling so tired and so drained, and I went there to go for a walk and just to reflect on what's been happening and ask myself, why am I feeling this way? So many amazing things have been happening. Why do I feel so exhausted and so depleted and so down? And I came to the realization that I was at the cusp of experiencing compassion fatigue. I know that in previous videos I've talked about introvert burnout and preventing introvert burnout or INFJ burnout, but compassion fatigue is a little bit different. If you're an INFJ or empath, then I know that you're most likely in a role where you are caring for somebody else. You most likely have a career where you are working with people. Most INFJs become counsellors, social workers, youth workers, nurses, people who are very giving of themselves. And I just want to share a little bit about what has happened for me. A few videos ago, I did share that while I've been building up my counselling private practice, I also had a part-time job, and my part-time job was as a youth worker. I've been working as a youth worker since 2003. I have been working with some of the most vulnerable young people in the country. I, for 15 years, have been hearing story after story of the trauma and the trials and the hardships that they have faced. I realized that after I finally left my job, which has only just happened, firstly, it wasn't the celebration that I thought it would be. You see most people on YouTube or Instagram or just on an online platform where they say, I quit my job, it's amazing. And it's a celebration and it's a huge achievement for them. But when I was at the beach reflecting on all of this, I realized the reason why that is so exciting for them is because they were most likely in a corporate job, working behind a computer, not necessarily doing what their passion is. But for me, I was working in a job where I was pouring my heart and my energy into these young people. After I left that work, it caused me to reflect on the last 15 years of my work and thinking about all the young people I have ever worked with. And I realized that some of them would be 30 now, 30 years old. I have no idea if they're alive, if they're happy, if they have their own children now. I don't know what sort of impact I ended up having on their life. This past month, I just felt really tired and really sad. And I started grieving and grieving the moving away from that field, grieving the relationships that I had in that field, grieving the fact that I will never know if I left a positive impact on these young people's lives. So compassion fatigue, what is it? It's similar to introvert burnout. It's similar symptoms and signs. You feel that physical exhaustion, but you also just feel really heavy in your heart. You might feel stressed. You might feel depressed. You might have a change in your appetite. You might want to sleep more. I found that this past month, all I wanted to do was sleep. What can you do about compassion fatigue? I think it's so important that you have the self-reflection to acknowledge when you are facing it, because the danger with compassion fatigue is you can get to a place where you stop caring about other people. Now, I didn't reach that place. Thank God I didn't reach that place, but that's because I had the ability to self-reflect on why I was feeling the way I was feeling and putting steps in place to to move through that. And so for me, to prevent myself from completely experiencing compassion fatigue, I had to take a step back. I chose to not work so hard in my business. Yesterday, there was so much work I could have been doing at the computer, but I chose to go to the national park, go for a walk, get in nature, go for a swim in the ocean, and to, I guess, just hold myself and to bring comfort to myself, and to also acknowledge where I've come from and what I have achieved, and to celebrate those parts of myself. And that it's okay to celebrate you. It's okay to celebrate what you have achieved in your life. If you are experiencing compassion fatigue, it's so important to, if you're a counsellor, to talk to your supervisor about it, which is what I've done, to talk to your own therapist, to talk to your friends, to nurture yourself, to do the things that bring you joy and calm and peace, and to also acknowledge how you're feeling and acknowledge some of that grief and loss. Because the only way you can move through feelings is by actually acknowledging it and to allow yourself to feel them, to really feel them, to not be afraid to feel those feelings. With all this talk about compassion fatigue, I thought there is someone amazing that you just have to meet.
Hi, Sam! Welcome!
Meet Emma, the founder of the Carers Club, an organisation to support carers in their time of need. We have Emma here from the Carers Club, and I thought that it would be a perfect opportunity to introduce you to her, because we are talking about compassion fatigue. So I'm going to let Emma share a little bit about what it is that she does.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Sam. So the Carers Club is, I guess, a club that I founded. I'm a bereaved carer. I was my mum's carer before she died from brain cancer. At the time, I was in my mid-20s, first-time mum, feeling very isolated. I had great friends, but no one else had experienced a similar thing that I had gone through. And I just really would have loved a support group like this. So we offer a couple of services. One is circles, where we gather together with carers and bereaved carers for some self-care, some meditation, but also to connect and share stories and not feel so alone. I offer one-on-one support, which is almost like a birth doula but a carer. So I will come in and offer you some emotional support, but also some practice support, like do you some laundry, do your dishes, that kind of things. When I was a carer, I could never get to those things, and it just made you feel so much better when that load was taken off. And then I also do keynote speaking for other organisations and things like that, to advocate for carers. And I am looking into potentially gift boxes for carers, so because a lot of people are friends of carers but they don't know how to support them. So giving them the opportunity to do that. And we have an online group as well where we all connect in there.
So what is it, why do you feel like it's so important that a carer is also cared for and looked after?
Well, I guess it goes always back to that same old say, you can't pour from an empty cup, and it's so true. And carers, 1 in 9 Australians are actually unpaid carers. So a carer is anybody who helps someone else with a daily activity. So whether that is you help them with their financials, where you help them with showering, whether it's from afar and you're doing their paperwork, basically it's stepping in for somebody when they can't do it themselves. So that could be very range. So we have people who are parents of children with complex needs or not so complex needs. We have people like myself who are bereaved carers who looked after a parent, and for a range of diagnoses, from things like cancer to you name it. We've got people that look after other people.
You shared that you were once a carer for your mum, and that's what birthed this passion for you, and you said that you wish that there was something like that for you. Why is that?
So at the time we kind of fell through the cracks because I was too old to be considered a young carer, and my mum was considered too young to access a lot of other services. I just felt really alone. I was exhausted. I was highly stressed. I didn't prioritize myself at all. So I fell into a bit of a depression, all while trying to just maintain life as a wife, as a new mother, a part-time job, which I ended up having to give up because as mum deteriorated, it was too hard to work. But yeah, it would have been just so great to just to talk to someone who feels seen and understood, and to have a community around me that got it, and to be able to show up in that space. But it's just been so helpful for my mental health and filled up my cup, I think.
Do you feel like when you went through that with your mum that you may have experienced compassion fatigue?
100%. And I also think something I still have to be aware of as I work with other carers. There are times when I do feel fatigued, and what I do is I often have to turn off the news and not engage with certain things on the news because I find it so heartbreaking, or ignore things on my social media feed or whatever. It's not that I don't care anymore, but I literally cannot engage with that anymore because I'm gonna explode. And I also start to desensitize a bit and just get a bit cold and not care, not care is my word, but not be able to feel it as an empath as much, and will need to go and have a nap or something. It definitely drain my mood. So the way I cope is definitely be selective of what I feed through my phone into my news feed, and just try to have some boundaries also around me socially, and try to find some time to fill myself up. I've been learning, and I'm still learning, about the whole how you can support a friend but not be emotionally drained, and I think that's quite a skill that we all have to learn, and I'm getting better at it. But in the past I was terrible at it.
What would your number one advice be for those who are carers and are going through compassion fatigue?
Join Carers Club, because we're a national, and it's free obviously. Just join our Facebook online group, and then seek out one-on-one support for yourself, because I wish I had done that earlier, to get some me time in and to help decompress and to just hold some space for yourself. Yes, you matter. It's not bad to look after yourself.
I find Emma to be so encouraging. She is such a good friend to me, and I highly recommend that if you're a carer, to please reach out to her, join her Facebook group. The link is in the description. And remember, no matter who you are or what you're doing, it's okay to look after yourself, because the more you look after yourself, the more you're able to help others.